now we'll move on to the next speaker of the symposium. It is going to be a talk on Natha tradition and folk traditions, the concept of Guru in Natha and folk traditions by Sri Prabhav Paturi. He is a Vedic psychologist and cross-cultural researcher in Manoloka Holistic Wellness. His topic is titled as Adesh and Saranaagatulu, Guru in Natha and Telugu folk traditions. I'll give a brief introduction to Sri Prabhav Paturi. He is a Vedic psychologist and cross-cultural researcher at Manoloka Holistic Wellness, holds MSc in Counseling Psychology from B.R. Ambedkar University, Hyderabad, and PG Diploma in Clinical Psychology from the School of Ecology in Scotland. Taught modern psychology to BA Integral Psychology students at MIT ADT University, offered health psychology counseling at Apollo Hospitals and St. Jude's Pediatric Oncology Wing, translated J. Sai Deepak's India, that is Bharat, into Telugu, published 2 cross-cultural psychology research papers. He is trained in Indic knowledge systems by his grandfather and father, in yoga by Narasimha Rao Garu, and in Tantra by Sri Vidurendranatha Saraswati. He does fieldwork-based studies in Telangana folk culture from cross-cultural perspective. He presented papers earlier also in INDICA conferences, one on Shaivism, the folk cultural aspects of Shaivism in the conference on Shaivism at Varanasi, and on the femininity aspects in folk culture and Shakti worship in the Femininity in Hinduism conference at Guwahati. He is not well. In fact, he was hospitalized for blood transfusion. He got discharged just yesterday. He's recouping, but because of his interest in the topic, he decided to participate in the conference and present his papers. Now, Sri Prabhav, you may relax and present the paper as long as you can. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Nagaraji. So I'll just try to share my screen. Give me just a moment. So are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Okay, thank you. So as you all can see, the topic that I have picked is Adesh and Saranaagatulu, Guru in the Natha and Telugu folk traditions. And I would like to begin my presentation with a small ode to the Guru within. So, Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om Puram Bhansya Nalo Nilombara Maharnatho Himanshuf Puman Ityabhati Chara Charatmakamidam Yasyaiva Murtyastakam Nanyat Kinchana Vidyate Imrushatam Yasmat Parasmat Vibho Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. So briefly, before I take you through the overview of the presentation, I would also like to tell you that this presentation is very close to my heart, as I am a practicing sadhaka within the Natha tradition, and my guru has taught me a few things about the significance of the guru within Natha tradition, and also I have done quite a few fieldworks with people from Telangana who are known as the Oggu people, and they are the priests of certain communities within Telangana, and they are given patronage by these communities, and they worship Lord or a deity called Mallanna, and he is a form of Kala Bhairava and Shiva basically. And this basic presentation is the combination of both of those things, what I've learned from my gurus and my present guru, and what I've done as the fieldwork. right? So let me take you through the brief overview of what I'm going to present. So in the first slide, I'm going to talk about Guru Tattvam and freedom, right? So whatever, when we think about Guru Tattvam, basically, we think about how we can surrender to the Guru, but how that surrenderance leads to freedom, right? That's a paradox. How surrendering oneself leads to freedom is a paradox, right? So I'm going to cover that a little bit. And then we are going to talk about the spiritual paradox of surrender and how, in fact, we can reverse gaze on the leftist view that it is a loss of liberty, right? That's going to be my second slide. And then in the third slide, I'm going to take you through the mantra. We call it a mantra. It is not a mantra as such, as that it has come from Shruti, right? It is not a mantra that some mantra drashta has seen, but someone we consider in the Natha tradition equal as a mantra drashta, someone like that, the Maharshi, has given us this sacred mantra, that is Adesh Adesh, and I'm going to take you through how the mantra originated and what the mantra means. And then I'm going to narrate a small story from the Natha tradition, right? That's going to be my fourth slide, and that will give you a small overview, or in fact, I would like to say a small superficial overview of how the Guru is seen within the Natha tradition. And then I'm going to talk about my experiences with these Ogu priests, right, within my fieldworks and how they look at the spiritual surrender. And then I'm going to conclude, right? So this is the overview of my presentation. Now, coming to the first slide, unveiling the paradox, embracing the Guru Tattvam and the dance of liberty, right? The concept of Guru Tattvam unveils this profound paradox, right? It is an extremely profound paradox that challenges the popular leftist narrative of freedom, right? So while they decry the surrender to a guru as a loss of individual liberty, they themselves embrace an outdated ideology, right? I cannot call communism an ideology. I can only call it an outdated ideology as it does not have a place in the current modern society that we live in, right? We have moved beyond modernity. We have come to postmodern. We have come to today, people are calling it post truth. There are different movements all around the world, and still they cling to this outdated ideology that demands unwavering obedience to collective dogma, right? And it is a dogma that operates through violent revolutions and oppressive political policies. That is the dogma of communism, and that's how I see it, right? And when they have such an unwavering obedience to such kind of a narrative, they are nobody to, in fact, question us to our surrenderance towards a guru, right? In contrast, the dharmic tradition recognizes that true freedom lies not in the stubborn adherence to the limited self, but in the transcendence of ego that veils our inner divinity. Our inner divinity has a veil upon it, right? And that is what we, in at least me as a practicing Advaiti, we call that veil as Maya. And that Maya is, making me not look at my innate divinity, right? That Maya is making me embrace it first rather than embrace the inner divinity within, right? So by surrendering to the enlightened consciousness of the Guru, not to the Guru directly, the Guru is not a physical object here. The Guru here is the Guru Tattvam, right? So by surrendering to the enlightened consciousness of the Guru Tattva within the Guru and the Guru within. These are three different parts, right? The enlightened consciousness of the Guru Tattva within the Guru, and the Guru within. One embarks on a journey of dissolving the shackles of conditioning and ignorance that bind the individual will, right? we have an individual will, right? And that will, it is not just the will of some divinity that is looking out, or looking in fact towards us from somewhere out of bounds of the earth, right? It is within. The will is within, and it has the shackles of conditioning and ignorance, right? And this conditioning is coming from society, this conditioning is coming from parentage, this conditioning is coming from genetics, right? And all this can be overcome. And even ignorance that surrounds us, whatever is not leading us to that, is ignorance, right? All that is not that is ignorance, and that ignorance and conditioning can be overcome with this surrenderance to the guru, right? This surrender is, it is not a mere intellectual assent also, it is a visceral experience, right? It is very, very personal to us, and it is a visceral experience, a visceral anubhava, I should say, that yields to the innate truth embodied by the living presence of the guru. That is why a living guru is also important, but that is not the only way, right? They are as important, they are as important as a form being there, right? If a sagunopasaka is worshipping a deity, who is worshipping a murti, right? He needs that saguna tattva, that murti, to be there. In the same way, we need a living guru, right? It is a dance, an art form where one must let go of the illusion of individuality to reclaim the truest of freedoms that resides within the depths of our being, right? So that is how I look at it. That is how this paradox has been dealt with in the dharmic traditions, right? Well, the communist and leftist ideologies proclaim a shallow form of liberation through the imposition of collective dogma. The dharmic traditions, they invite us, right, to embrace a seeming, to embrace a really seemingly, it is a paradox, but it is paradox nonetheless, to surrender our limited self, but of ourself, to ultimately unveil the boundless expanse of our true nature. That is the whole uh, paradox that we are dealing with here, right? In this profound dance, right, I want to quote a real Mahatma, unlike the founding fathers of this country, or at least seemingly founding. So, in this profound dance, we break off thy fetters, bonds that bind thee down. And this real Mahatma who has uttered these lines, break off thy fetters, bonds that bind thee down. He has written a song, and this song has been written by Swami Vivekananda, right? He's a true Mahatma, and he has written a song, and it is called the Song of the Sannyasins. And within that song, we have this sentence: "We break off thy fetters." Fetters are the cage, uh, the metal that is surrounding a cage, right? And we break them off, and bonds that bind thee down. These fetters are nothing but the bonds that we have formed that bind us down, right? And that is only possible through the surrenderance towards the guru, right? And through his composition, he invites us to break free from the self-imposed limitations. And these limitations, again, we should recognize that these are self-imposed. Nobody is imposing them on us, but we are imposing them on ourselves. And this alignment, when we do it with the guru, that surrenderance, when it becomes an alignment, it it has a resonance with the cosmic frequencies in Prakriti that resonate with the divine as the Prakriti within. Right? There is a Prakriti outside. This is Prakriti, and there is also a Prakriti within. When there is alignment between all the three, that is true surrenderance. Right? So that is the paradox that we are dealing with, and I wanted to unveil this paradox in this slide. So coming to the next slide, this surrenderance and autonomy in spiritual pursuits, it's a double-edged sword, right? You can look at the picture here where the person is actually walking, right, on the sword. And here The spiritual path, the marga of adhyatma, it is a delicate dance of balance, right? It is a leela of santulata, right? It is like treading a razor's edge. It is like actually using a sword, a kura, right? Navigating the seeming duality of samarpana, utter surrender, and swatantra, absolute autonomy, right? To truly surrender, to perform Atma Nivedana, is to let go of our limited perspectives. Basically, here, Atma Samarpana towards the Guru does not mean just doing whatever the Guru wants us to do, right? That's a different perspective. But then, even if someone does that, what is the use of that, right? But uh, if we actually sit in the presence of a Guru and just let go, right? That mere presence is enough, right? To truly perform this surrender, to truly have this Atma Nivedana, we need to let go of our limited perspectives. See, for example, in the Dakshinamurti Stotra, that which I have used to start my presentation itself, there is this line, right, where the people sitting around the Dakshinamurti, they are all old people, and Dakshinamurti is in his very young form, right? And when the people outside look at it, they may say, "Oh, these old people don't they have much more experience than this young fellow sitting in front of them?" Right? That is the limited perspective. When one crosses that kind of a perspective and has a much more broader understanding of things, only then he can cross this whole double-edged sword and reach the other side, right? Where there is Atma Jnana waiting for us. It is a vitarana of our Alpajna Drishti, leading us to become one with that. Here, that Tat being the Paramasatya, right? It is not just Paramasatya, it is the Paramasatya, right? That is the Guru Tattva within which transcends our individual understanding, right? This act of surrender is an inner pralaya, right? This act of surrender, it is an inner pralaya. What kind of a pralaya is it? It leads to the dissolution of the me, right? It leads to a dissolution of what I am, right? This, what I feel right now is me, is ahankara, right? It is this antarjna that our icha is often obscured. What is it obscured by? It is obscured by avridha. Avridha is the veil of ignorance, the veil of Maya that I first talked about. It is also obscured by raga, the wave of emotions that lead us away. And the third thing that it is veiled by or obscured by is avidya. Everything that isn't that is avidya, right? So it is also veiled or obscured by that. It is a recognition that our individual self is but a fleeting darpana, a projection of our own limited awareness, right? This is the first shloka within Dakshinamurti Stotra, where Bhagavan says that uh, Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagaritulya nijantargatam pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivodbhutam yatha nidraya. The one within is actually sleeping, and the projection that he is seeing is just a limited awareness, right? It is a fleeting darpana, right? So that kind of a darpana, it has to be broken. That kind of a darpana, it can only be broken when one surrenders to the Guru, right? The paramartha of adhyatma sadhana, right, is not mere submission, but it is an anubhava of the Guru's swarupa from within to without to within. How Guru Swarupa currently is within the live Guru, right, that we are seeing, right, that we are communicating with, that I am seeing. That is the within. And then we are slowly, in fact, the Guru is asking us, in fact, the Guru is helping us to come out of that where we do not require him anymore. So that is the without. And then again, that without is helping us go within. So from within to without to within. That is the whole Guru's Swarupa, and that can only come through Anubhava. It is the reclamation of the innate sovereignty are Sahaja Aishwaryam. Herein lies the paradox that resonates with a sadhaka. It is to let go of our seeming temporary swecha. It is this swecha, it is only seemingly swecha. It is not true swecha. Seeming temporary swecha in order to regain our innate Atma Jnana based absolute swecha. Only when we let go of this seeming temporary swecha, we regain our innate Atmajnana based absolute swecha. So, this is that double edged sword on which we are walking as sadhakas. It is a delicate balance, a seeming paradox that lies at the core of sadhana, inviting us to surrender our limited self to unveil the boundless expanse of our true being. Right? So, this is the double edged sword. And now let us come to the sacred mantra within the Natha tradition. And in the esoteric realms of the Natha tradition, the phrase Adesh Adesh, it resonates with profound significance. It is a sacred mantra, command that transcends the mere utterance of words and carries within it the power to transmute the very fabric of one's very being. Right? If I have ahankara, how do I transcend it? I transcend it by clinging to something, not just the live guru. But in my daily practice, I cannot have my guru 24 by 7 with me. So, how do I transcend this? I transcend it with utterance, with making certain sounds, with doing something with the Shabda Tarangas that I every day use. Right? So, within the Natha tradition, that is these words, Adesh Adesh. Guru Gorakshaknath in his book Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati, that is the book or the Grantha scripture of Natha tradition, and there he defines the term Adesh as the unity of Jivatma with Paramatma, ultimately the Atman within, which is nothing but that Tat, the Guru Tattvam, Tattvam, Tat. Right? The exact shloka he uses to describe this is as follows. It is Atmeti Paramatmeti Jivatmeti Vicharane Trayanam Aikya Aikya Sambhutir Desha iti Kritaha Adesham iti Sadvanim Sarvavadvava Kshayapaham Yo Yoginam Prativadet Satyatmanam Aishwaryam. As I was talking about in the previous slide, there is this Sahaja Aishwaryam that resides within. So he is talking about the same thing. Here he defines Adesh as A as Atma, De as Devatma, and Sa or Sha as Jivatma. So when there is this unity, that is what we are calling as Adesh. And another form is Adesh, which is Adi plus Ish, where Adi means great or first, and Ish means controlling, the entity that controls basically, right? It can also be taken as referring to Shiva Tattva, and Shiva is nothing but Adinath. So Natha tradition begins with Adinath, and that is who we are referring to when we are saying Adesh Adesh. The weight of this phrase, it just does not lie in its literal meaning, but in the transmission of consciousness that accompanies it. The first time when a guru utters this phrase to us, it carries a certain weight. When we hear it, the Shabda Taranga reaches my ear, the inner canal of my ear. It carries a certain weight, right? So that weight is what is the actual esoteric meaning that lies within this phrase. It is a doorway through which the disciple's awareness is yoked to the higher frequencies of the Sadguru, a conduit for the flow of grace and spiritual transformation, right? And there are certain organizations that misuse this revered title of Sadguru, which undermine the sanctity of this profound connection, diluting the essence of true spiritual transmission, right? But then I'm not talking about that Sadguru. It is not sad Guru, right? I'm talking about Sat Guru, right? One who knows Satyam, one who knows who he is from within, right? So such a Sadguru, if I surrender to him, only then my awareness is completely yoked out of myself and I realize who I am, right? So that is what is the meaning of Adesh Adesh. Now, let us come to the echoes of obedience. and deciphering the voice of Guru within the Natha lore. The Natha tradition is rich with lore and narratives that echo the importance of unwavering obedience to the Guru, right? And these tales serve as beacons illuminating the path of spiritual surrender. So I belong to the Darya Panth within the Nathas, and within the Darya Panth we have a tale, right? In this tale, there is a disciple called Govinda, and he goes directly to Sadguru Goraknath, and he says, I have surrendered my life to you and in service to you, right? And how do I get out of this whole samsara, sukha dukkha, all this cycle, right? And then Goraknath instructs basically Govinda to go to a nearby village and bring back a dog's tail. He asks Govinda to go and get a dog's tail. So Govinda says, without question, I'll do this, Guru, because you have given this as the Adesh. Right? So Govinda goes, he ventures forth and determined to fulfill his Guru's bidding. He just goes and pulls every dog's tail and tries to pull every dog's tail. The dogs are reacting in different ways. Some are barking at him, some are coming to, bite him. The others are running away from him. All this. Undeterred, Govinda just goes ahead, chases the dogs, and days turn into weeks and weeks turn into months. But Govinda cannot get the tail of a dog. Govinda's singular focus basically becomes his obsession. And villagers also try to scold him, why are you doing this to the dogs, poor beings, and all that. But Govinda is still determined. Finally, exhausted and disheartened, Govinda returns to Sadguru Goraknath empty-handed, and he, just bows his head in shame. And then, to his surprise, the Guru greets him with a warm embrace and a knowing smile. And as soon as Govinda looks at the Guru's face, he falls into a deep trance, right? Where he hears these words from Goraknath. Goraknath says basically, my child, the true test was not in the acquisition of a dog's tail, but in the depth of your surrender and the wisdom to discern the essence of my command. Your unwavering obedience was commendable, but true surrender lies in aligning with the anubhava of the Guru's presence, not blind adherence to literal words. Right? In that moment, Govinda realizes that the Guru's voice was not a mere command, but a transmission of wisdom, a call to awaken his innate divinity. In the esoteric symbolism of the Natha tradition, the dog basically represents the base animal nature within us, right? Our primal instincts, desires, and attachments that keep us tethered to the material realm. The tail, being the lowest part of the dog, signifies the most base and animalistic aspects of our being. So, when Sadguru Goraknath instructed Govinda to bring back a dog, not merely testing the disciples' obedience, was also imparting a profound teaching. The quest for the dog's tail was a metaphor for the spiritual journey of transcending one's base nature, of rising above the pull of primal urges and attachments. By asking Govinda to acquire the tail, Sadguru Goraknath was basically challenging or symbolically challenging him to confront and overcome the animalistic tendencies that bind the consciousness to the cycle of birth and death. That is what Govinda has asked him, right? How do I transcend this cycle of birth and death? So this is what he has told him, right? It was actually an invitation to transmute, right, the lower impulses into higher consciousness, to elevate the disciples' awareness from the realm of mundane to the realms of spiritual liberation. Govinda, in his literal pursuit, he tried to pull and bring back a physical dog's tail, right? But that inability to discern the deeper symbolic meaning behind the Guru's command is where this we are actually, relying on this surrendering to the Guru. And once he comes back and his ego has melted away that I can do this, and just only surrenderance has remained, he heard what the Guru actually wanted to speak without even actually the Guru speaking out the words. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Again, relying on Dakshinamurti Stotra. Right? The Guru need not even speak, the disciples will understand. Shishyastu chinna samshayaha. There remained no doubts anymore once the Sishya directly, completely surrenders to the Guru Tattva. Right? And then I come to the experiences that I have had with the word Sharanaagatulu. And this is the word that I first heard from Shivaramaya. He is a Oggu performer that resides somewhere close to Bhagyanagaram, Hyderabad, right? And he basically told me that this Sharanagati is a concept where they are reminded of their guru when they say Sharanagatu, right? That's the way they greet each other, Sharanagatu, right? So through their oral narratives known as Oggu Katha, they weave an intricate web of teachings that guide seekers on the path of surrender and self-realization. This is what he has told me, right? And they are not merely entertainers. By the way, Oggus people see Oggu priests and Oggus basically only as merely entertainers, but they are actually the gurus, right? And they are the gurus or basically spiritual guides to other Oggu performers, Shiva Sattulolu, and many other folk or Janapada sadhakas. Basically, Janapadas also have sadhakas, right? This sadhaka tradition is there, and their sadhana involves this. And Oggu priests are one of the spiritual beacons or guiding lights in this tradition, right? The way these Janapada sadhakas guide their sishyas to surrender outside to the innate guru within, right? Outside to the innate guru within is through intricate ceremonies, balis, rituals, each step a testament to the depth of surrender required on the path of self realization. Ultimately, the goal is again the same. It is to transcend the need for an external guru and realize the guru within, right? So he resides near this village called Narsapur in Telangana, right? And he has a Sishya, he had at least a Sishya called Banaya. So Banaya was a person who wanted to become a Shiva Shakti, and he came to this Oggu performer or Oggu priest, Shivaramaya. And Banaya, when he came or approached Shivaramaya, he was just what 21 years old or something like that. And then Ramaya explained to me how he welcomed Banu Gadu. That is how, that's a term of endearment, right? Gadu is a term of endearment. And then Banu is the way he used to call the Sishya, right? Banu Gadu. And when he was younger and he had very short hair and all that, he told, to become a Shiva Shakti, you need to first grow your hair. That was the first requirement that Shivaramaya had given Banu Gadu. And then Banu went ahead and grew his hair and came back, right? And then the first initiation that Shivaramaya did was he gave Bhanu the ritual ceremony of collecting putta mannu. Putta is basically an ant hill, and mannu is the mud that is there near the ant hill. And why did he do that? When I asked Shivaramaya, why did you do this? He told me that he found this as the connection to the earth, right? And by actually connecting with the earth, he is connecting to the earth within, right? So that is what Shivaramaya told me. And then basically, this initiation helped him realize that he still has some material attachments that he has in his life, and he needs to let go of them without completely letting go of his actions. He only needs to let go of them in the form of the bond, right? And how does this happen when he's collecting this Puttamannu from the anthill? Is that he's keeping the hand directly into the anthill and collecting the mud, right? Venomous snakes may even reside there, right? But because the guru has said it, he's doing it, right? That is, that surrenderance is slowly coming. And next, Ramaya led him through the Patnam ritual, right? Where he became the Banaya himself became Yallamma, right? So Yallamma is a goddess, a village goddess, and then when Banaya's ego has melted away, only then he can become Yallamma himself, right? So this again helped him transcend his ego. And as this practice was repeatedly done, he felt a profound shift within, a newfound openness to the wisdom that I wanted to impart through my presence. That is what Ramaya told me. And over time, Ramaya guided Banaya through various Mallana and Ellamma ceremonies, balis, each requiring more bhakti on his part deepening his connection to the divine essence within. And through his storytelling and unwavering presence, Ramaya became the embodiment of the Guru Tattva or the Guru principle, a living beacon that illuminated the path of self realization, right? And ultimately, Banaya, who came originally to Shivaramaya, he became Bhanu Devi. That is the current name of this Shiva Shakti. Uh, Whenever he is in his Shiva Shakti form, otherwise, he is Banaya, the father of three children, right? A journey of Sharanaagatulu, culminating in the realization that the true Guru resided within him as his own awakened consciousness. With a heart filled with gratitude for Ramaya's guidance, Bhanu is now actually embarking on his own path as his own Guru, right? He is giving others guidance who are on this path, and he's taking this Shiva Satyalolu tradition forward. And this is just one example that I've seen in hundreds of examples. I've spoken to a lot of these performers, right? And this is how they embody the concept of Sharanagatulu step by step and inculcate the same thing. And that is how uh, this surrenderance towards the Guru is tested in these folk traditions by the Janapada sadhakas. And basically bridging the divine convergence of Natha wisdom and Telangana folklore. Right? As we journey through the intricate tapestry of spiritual traditions, there is this harmonious convergence that emergence between the Natha wisdom and the Telangana folklore, like two mighty rivers merging into a vast ocean. These streams of wisdom share a common essence. That is the reverence towards one's Guru, the Guru's guidance, and their presence, not just their mere words, right? And that comes from a deep yearning for liberation, right? Only when that is there, they can really surrender, right? In this confluence, we find echoes of universal truths that transcend the boundaries of language and culture. The Nathas, the Natha traditions, emphasis on surrendering to the Guru's wisdom through Adesh resonates with the Telangana folk concept of Sharanagatulu, the act of seeking refuge in the divine embrace. These shared insights, they remind us of our collective heritage, a timeless pursuit of enlightenment through the Guru outside to the Guru within, right? And so Sharanagatulu to all the sadhakas and Adesh to my gurus who have come before me, who are journeying with me and who will come after me, and to the ultimate Guru within, Adesh. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a very good addition to the symposium because it covered folk culture also. The concept note that we sent out for the symposium covered folk culture also, and that had to be covered in the symposium, and that gap is very well fulfilled by this. And Natha tradition also, we had Shaivism paper, we are going to have a Vaishnavism paper, we had a Tirupavai paper, and this is Natha tradition. So it is giving a great diversity to the symposium. I'll check if there are any questions. I don't see any questions. So if there are any questions, I will forward them to you.